Ohuhu Honolulu. Illustrations by me. So Ohuhu Markers got in touch with me. I've been hearing about them for a very long time. Becky on the channel, she's been telling me about those since one of the first marker videos I've ever done. She liked the Ohuhus, and she said, you have to check them out. They got in touch with me. They said, hey, we've got a new marker we'd like to put out, or we have put out, and we're going to, we'll send you a set to try out. You can test it and see how you like it. I said, sure, let's do that. It's Ohuhu Honolulu. That's what it is. So it's comes in this little carry case. This is a 24 set that they sent me here. The original ones come in a 72 set. They come, there's a big set of them here. They said, we want you to compare the two of them because we've changed. These are the plus. These are the Honolulu Plus Markers. So there's something different about them. They have different tips. They've redesigned some of the features of how the pen works, and the tips are more durable and that kind of thing. So we're going to see that. But one thing that I did notice, let me show you before we get too far into this here. So inside this pouch, they send you a sheet so you can put it behind your paper that you're working on, so it doesn't go all the way through to the second page. It'll go through to the back, but not to the second page. Not too many papers will not go through. I have the Crescent Render book. That doesn't go through. That one will stay just on the front, but there's plastic in between the pulp paper on each side. So this, if you don't have that, you have a regular sketchbook, it's probably going to go through if you're scribbling away. Look what they did. They gave you that. I think that's great. They gave you a swatch card. I already swatched, but I'll show you that when we do the swatch. You didn't see it yet. Don't worry about it. So I think that's a great idea. And then, of course, it comes with the normal propaganda material. And there's just, it's not normal. It's just all the, not what I'm saying is it's not just color charts. But they talk about all the different sets. They do have color charts in here. But all the different series and sets, and it's very interesting to go through and see what kind of color palette you would like before you buy the set. And that's just, it's not going to be exact, I promise you. What comes out in print on paper is not what comes out when you draw, and I'm telling you that's the case. That's okay though, at least you have an idea of, oh, this is a floral palette, or this is a this palette, or whatever the case is. So we're going to go through. I didn't use the colorless blender. So I'm not a fan of colorless blenders. They include one in the set. Most marker companies have a colorless blender because that's a lot of people use that. I am not a fan of that. I like to blend with the markers, not with the colorless blender. In this one, I blend a little bit. You'll see it's on this paper is a little different, but it works well for blending the way that you do. There's a lot of alcohol markers that have trouble blending, and that's a problem with certain alcohol markers, not these. You can blend with these. You'll be able to do that. You'll see me go across and just smooth the edge a little bit. That's all I was looking to do. And then in the end of the video, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the whole drawing with these, and then I'm going to go back in with these and do some embellishments, do a little bit extra on the piece, because the piece itself, I'm just going to draw a little character, nothing special, but then I will go ahead and put some extras in around it using the traditional one so I can really tell between the tips. And then when I do the drawing part in the commentary, I will let you know how that is, if I enjoyed using one or the other more, if I like the tip of one or the other more. That's important because that's... Apparently the older markers had, I don't know if they had trouble with durability, but these are supposed to have a better durability. So let's do the swatch and we'll take a look at these and see how they are. Do you use Ohuhu markers? A lot of people who use alcohol markers use Ohuhu. The only thing I can really compare them to are the Pro markers. That's what I use. I usually use the, I forgot where, I think it went to Winsor & Newton now. It used to be just Pro Marker. Then Winsor & Newton bought the Pro Marker, I think, or they switched, they sold it to, I don't know what happened. But anyway, they all say Winsor & Newton now, and that's the Pro Marker series. But I also use the Spectrum Noir. Spectrum Noir? No, wait, hold on, what are they called? Yeah, the Spectrum Noir. It's the Illustrator markers. I also use these, so I'll compare them to them as well. The problem with them, and even though as much as I like them, is they dry out very quickly and the tips get floppy. I don't know what that is. Some of these tip pen, these don't. This one is good right here, but some of them, they just get a little floppy at the tip, like the tip wears away very easily or something. So maybe that's the improvement that they made. Maybe the tips are more durable. They look thicker. They look sturdier. All right, we're gonna compare them, but let's go through the swatch first. I'll talk about the color palette and we'll get back to this. So let's look at this color palette a little bit. The yellow, I like that Y09. That's a nice color. It's a little bit on the warmer side. Works for me. The peaches are almost the same. So let's look at some of the darker colors. So the YR314, the E614, the YR513, those are bright colors. The R410, the BV312, the BG011, that's an 11 for you people, but you know what I mean. And of course the BGY38. But even the colors that are paler, and so these are good for adding subtle color. There's nothing wrong with that. They're not going to be the brightest and boldest of markers. Maybe they're not supposed to be. They're intentionally a little bit paler. And you'll see in the drawing, the paleness allows me to get much darker with the contrast with the blacks. So it adds the color where it needs to be there, but then I go in there with the pen and you can see it more. It pops more because the colors are paler and lighter. So that's wonderful. The other colors that are darker, you can see them on there too. I've used some of them, but they're good too. So it just depends on how you want to use these. Overall, there's a good selection. There's not a real red. The R410 is a beautiful color. Absolutely love it. But it's more of like a cool, like a pinkish red. It's not really a solid red. So if I was to have a complaint about this set at all, I would say there's no solid red in here. Now there is in the other set. There's plenty of red in the 72 set. So if you're using this as a supplement to that set, because I don't think the colors are the same in there. I haven't found many of the same colors or numbers, or any at all actually, that I'm seeing in each set. So if they're just a supplemental set, you have a red there you can use, that's fine. But these as a whole, because it's in a small little carry pouch, I would take, if I had the other set, I would pop out the ones that I really want in this set, pop the ones out you don't want here. There's a lot of different colors you might not want. And then you pop them out and then you put the other ones in and now you have a full set. Anyway, you have the 24, they still sit in that thing. That's how you fill out your little swatch card thing. That way you have the colors that are actually in the set. Good color selection, except for the missing red. That's my one thing that I want to say. But that R410 is probably one of my favorite colors in the whole set. I'd say right along with the YR513. I love that color. The two browns are beautiful. Love them. The greens, they're a little bit off for me. I probably would, I don't know, I might swap out the greens, but it's just because of that's my taste. That's all it is. I love that there's like a nice cool gray in here along with the dark charcoal, which is not really a black. It's almost black, but not really fully black. But those two colors next to each other, absolutely wonderful. All right, let's get into the drawing and see what I do there. All right, let me start by saying this drawing was a little different. It was a weird little character. It has like this weird thing coming off the side. Some parts of it I really liked, some parts of it not so much, but it's okay. I made it this weird little creature and then I put a little mouth on it that looks kind of disgusting. It was digesting its food. At the end, you'll see when I go back in with the other markers, the other Honolulu set, the standard ones, the ones that came earlier, I put in just a little blob of color and just put a lot of saliva around it. You'll see, don't worry about it, it's fine. I was just using them to compare the tips and the colors, and you'll see. Okay, so I've tested 4 different markers together with 3 other ones plus this one. And here's what I've come to the conclusion of. If I look at the old Honolulu markers, the old Ohuhu Honolulu markers, the old style, they're very, very stiff and hard when you draw with them. The tips are very firm. So when you draw with it, you can, if you push, it feels scratchy on the page, almost like you're using the chisel tip side, which, you know, that usually feels a little bit harder. If I take that as the hardest one that I have, and I compare it to the Illustrator, the Spectrum Noir Illustrator is very, very soft. This is the softest marker I've ever felt, the softest marker tip. But it also means that the tip gets, the little bit at the tip gets a little bit flexed and kind of bends. Let me show you one that, okay, this is a watercolor marker from Winsor Newton, the Pro Marker. Can you see how the tip is all crazy and like distorted and twisted? So that's what I mean, where if it's soft, it can get like that. This is a watercolor marker though, so I'm not comparing this one. If I do compare it to the Pro Marker, the Pro Marker is kind of in between the two of them. So it's not as hard as the original Honolulu markers. This one here, not the original, is definitely not as soft as the Illustrator marker. The Ohuhu Honolulu Plus, the new ones that we're testing here, they're kind of in between, I would say, the soft one and not the hard one, the soft one and then the old style one. It's very close to the Pro Marker. It's a little bit firmer than the Pro Marker. So the softest one is the Spectrum, the hardest one is the original Honolulu's, and then you have the Pro Marker, and then you have the new version of the Honolulu that's a little bit softer, a little bit harder than this one, but I think that's to the plus side. It's not a hard felt tip, so it's almost like feels like a rubbery tip, and that's kind of how they explained it when they were talking to me, because I'm trying to ask them what's the difference here, and they said, well, the one is more like a harder felt tip, and it is. You can actually hear it on the page scratch a little bit. But this one is softer and almost like rubber. And so it doesn't wear away, it doesn't flop, it's not bad. Now, because it is a little bit softer, you get more coverage with it. The tip bends a little bit, it's flexible, so that you get a little bit more coverage. With the old ones, it's a little bit harder, so you have to put it on more of an angle. You have to make sure you get that strong angle on it to cover a lot of territory. This one, you don't. You can go right into it like you'd hold a normal marker, a normal pen, and it will flex a little bit and get a little bit more coverage. So that's good. Now, it's hard to compare the color ranges of the new and the old because I have 72 compared to 24. So it's hard to compare. Now, what I'm gonna say is I don't really see exact comparisons of numbers. So the plus numbers that are on there, like a BV312, I don't see that in the other set. So they might be entirely new colors for this new set. For these 24 colors might be completely new. They are definitely different in the way that they feel when they go on the paper. These are more pastel-like. They're very light. You can see in the drawing how light they are. There's a couple of stronger colors. There's a few, but there's not as many, and I probably already said that when I was looking at the swatching. Most of them are kind of pale. Now, I've already mentioned this, but I love that they give you that small color chart that you can put in the pouch. This is a much smaller pouch to carry around. You can carry around a small pouch like this much easier than you can the larger set. And there's plenty of colors in there. All the colors are represented, and you can get through a painting, a drawing, however you want to look at it, whatever you think you do with the marker. Some people think you draw with pens, so you draw, or you can call it a painting. Some people call it a painting. You call it whatever you want. That's not important. What's important is most of the colors that are in there, they're fine. Some of them are pale enough where I would say that you'd have to go over it a couple of times to make it look smooth, because you go over an area, and if you go over a second spot, they're so like thin to begin with that the second layer kind of looks like, okay, you can tell you put a second layer there. However, if you just go ahead back and forth, you can get a smooth gradient with them. Now, the one thing that I think is very good about the light color the pastel kind of color thing, and it's very light and subtle, is just that. If you're looking for some subtle color, you can use these. This is a perfect set for subtle color. So the thing that I really do like about these being this pastel-y kind of light color is that I like to put in the dark contrast. So you see me here putting in the dark black areas, and it comes with a black too. So, or it says charcoal, it's virtually black. Anyway, it comes with one of those, so you can use that if you want, but I used a pen because I wanted a little bit finer detail than I'd get off of that tip. So, but anyway, I put in the pen and it's very contrasting. So you can see when I first do the drawing in the light colors, you're not really making out what this is. It's hard to tell what is this. There's a couple of bright colors, some of the reds and some of the dark deep pink, and that's kind of bright. But all the other colors are very light. It's hard to tell what's going on there until you add the dark black contrast. And that's what I like to do in all of my drawings. I like to add a black contrast, have something with a lot of contrast, I should say. So black and white or black and very light is what I like to see in my drawings. And so I always do that. So this is something that I would use that for. Now, if I'm gonna do something and I just want some light color, you know when you don't want this deep, dark, you're just trying to highlight an area in a lighter color, but you don't want to put this like bold color all over it. That's what I would use this set for. That's what I think this set is good for. I actually do that a lot. A lot of times when I do the watercolor, I'll put in, not when I do just the solid water, but when I'm saying when I know that I'm going to be putting in a lot of dark areas, I'll do a lighter color and do it more diluted with the watercolor. Same idea here. These are like more diluted versions. There's some sharper colors, like I said, or deeper colors, however you want to look at that. But in general, most of these are a lot lighter. And so that's something that I like. That's something that I enjoy. That's something that I will use it for, is when I just want to, just a hint of color here. That's what I'll grab. I'll grab these because they work well. The tip works well on the paper. And again, you're not looking for light fast here. These are dye markers, just like every other alcohol marker on the market. They're dye-based pigment, or dye-based ink. So you're not looking to get light fastness out of them. What you're looking to do is be able to use them flexibly. That's the most important thing. How flexible can you use them? I think these are great. I will use them for things like that. Matter of fact, you'll see some more of those coming up. Those are good. I might do that when I do the live stream here, which is going to come up next month or this month. By the end of the month or next month, we're doing a live stream. I've got everything set up. I think it's working properly. So I just have to, I'm going to do a test over on Patreon. Those people are going to tell me what days to do it on. I'm going to test it with them. And then I'm going to come over here and we're going to do a live stream video here. So I want you to go down below and tell me when you would be available or when you think you could watch a live stream. Keep in mind, I'm Eastern time, so convert it to my time because I'm a little bit slow with that. I'm not going to get it right. You're going to tell me, oh, this is my mountain time, and I'm not going to figure it out. So just tell me in Eastern time if you can figure it out. Tell me what time you think that would be the best time for me to do a live stream. And I may use something like this because I don't have a lot of time for the watercolor to dry while I'm trying to do a video. I'll just stop working and just start talking to you, and there'll be nothing happening on the screen. You won't see anything. You'll see my face on the side, but you won't see anything on the screen because I'll just be waiting for things to dry. That's when this will come in handy. I can go ahead and use this and put some subtle color down. Everything is wonderful. So even though the colors themselves are a little bit more pastel and they're not necessarily my color palette, I can pick plenty of colors out of there to use in a palette. That's not a problem. There's 24 options here, and there's a few that I really like, and I've already told you which ones those are in the swatch, probably. I probably did that. I haven't done the swatch yet, so don't worry about that. The point is, these are fun, they're easy to use, they work well. I think they'll last. I think these tips will last. Of course the chisel tip will last. It's a chisel tip. And I think even that's the hard felt, the chisel tip. It's always like that, the harder felt. but the brush side being a little bit softer and covering a little bit more area, I absolutely love it. Matter of fact, this one here happens to be a much darker color. You can see there, that's that ultramarine-ish color. That's the one I grabbed out of the thing. So, or at least I'll say it's close. Maybe it's not an ultramarine. Maybe it's closer to like a cobalt or something. I don't know. It's not quite as red as an ultramarine would be. But anyway, I'm going to, that's the one I grabbed and that's the one I used. It's a little bit darker. But 99% of the rest of them are a little bit lighter. And so I'll use the subtle color. You can go back and forth on it and create that shadow and shade, just like I did in this drawing. And it's a little bit unique, just like these people popping up on the screen here. They're unique, is so much so that they support someone like me. So thumb up the video if you are going to watch the live stream. And if you're going to look at the Ohuhu Honolulu Plus Markers, I think if you're a fan of alcohol markers and that's something that you enjoy, you will like these. They are very nice to use. And I do like the other Honolulu markers as well, but they are stiffer. That brush is stiffer. It's a little bit harder to cover the area and get it moving. So they're still good. They're still very colorful, bold as anything. These are a little bit lighter and they work just as well, if not better. So let me know if it's something you're interested in. Are you interested in alcohol markers? Do you want me to see, I'll do more videos of alcohol markers? Every time I do an alcohol marker drawing, everybody disappears on me, but that's okay. We'll see. Let's see how this one goes. All right, now enjoy these screw-ups from this episode. Honolulu, no, that's not right. What is it? Honolulu. Ohuhu Honolulu. I'm gonna get this. Just give me a minute. Ohuhu Honolulu. That's what we're doing. Ohuhu Honolulu Plus. That's what we're looking at here today. So they give you you got to hold the thing up from the top. They give you this. It's a sheet. So they give you thing has to sit up. They give you this thing that if I can show it to you, I should hold it like this from the side. I keep holding it like this and it's falling over and you can't see it and it doesn't matter anyway. I don't know. Is there a difference? Maybe. Could be. Maybe when you draw with it, there's a difference. Oh, which one was which? Oh, that says it on it. Good, it says it on it. Wonderful. I'm not going to do all that. Okay. Let's start from here. Here's where we're starting from, just like this. Can you see that for a second? Yep. All right. And there we are. Okay. If you're looking for heavy contrast, like that's why I loved about this painting here, this drawing here, I call this a drawing. I call some of the paintings a drawing, and I call this one a painting. You know what I mean. Don't worry about that. That's a mess up. Anyway, if you would like to join our community, go to illustrationsbypete.com. You can come in, you can put your own artwork on the site and promote it. You can find some inspiration in the free reference photos. You can just use them however you want in your artwork. You do not need to credit me. Or you can come into the forums and talk to some people and maybe give some advice and maybe find a little bit of information that helps you. So come check us out. All right, that's about it for me. I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.